Hello, this is Leasure, and this is the Leasure Sports Podcast. I'm going to kick it off this week. I want to send my thoughts and prayers to the people affected in Las Vegas from that horrible shooting that killed over 58 people and injured a couple hundred people. Very horrific and very sad and unfortunate that we had another one of these, big attacks. I want to send my thoughts and prayers and good wishes to all those people affected, the families and the people that are injured. Thoughts and prayers from me. So moving on to a more positive note, really great. I'm going to kick it off. I usually kick off my podcast with the NFL predictions, but considering the Major League Baseball wild card games were these past couple days and the postseason has officially started. Man, what a couple crazy games we had on Tuesday and Wednesday. That Twins, I'm gonna kick it off the Twins Yankees game. That was an interesting game. I think that first inning was almost an hour. But Severino from the Yankees, he only went 1 and 3. He had one out. He only got one out, and this guy, I believe it was the tied for the shortest Yankee start in their postseason history. So it looked like the Twins were just going to blow them out, and then the Yankees came back thanks to the three-run home run from Didi Gregorius. Irvin Santana, I don't even think went 2 innings. So yeah, it was starting pitching was not great in these wild card games. Speaking of that, John Gray only went 1 and 1/3 in the Rockies Diamondback game, and Zach Greinke only went 3 and 2/3. So starting pitching in those wild card games got really weird. It just was not great. I think they went combined 7 innings for what, like, and gave up what, 15 earned runs. Yeah, not great for starting pitching in the wild card games. But moving back to that game, really crazy game. I think the Twins took the lead. Then they were able to tie it up. Brett Gardner tied the game up with a home run. Then Greg Bird got an RBI. Aaron Judge stepped up and got a 2-run home run. The Yankees were able to hold on at that point and beat the Twins. Really unfortunate for the Twins. I mean, they had a great season. First team, I think, ever to lose 100 games and then get to the postseason in back-to-back seasons. And I think they've lost, dating back to, I think, 2009, they've lost like 8 or 9, maybe 10 straight postseason games to the Yankees. Just was unfortunate for them. But you know what? Great season for the Twins, and I think there's a lot to look forward if you're a Twins fan coming next year. So hopefully, I think there's going to be Twins are on the uprise, and so are the Colorado Rockies. What a crazy game that was between the Diamondbacks and the Rockies last night. The Diamondbacks went up to a 6-0 lead. Paul Goldschmidt lit off that first inning with a 3-run home run. He went 0 for 17 before that, ending the season, and he quickly got out of that slump. Had a couple hits. It was really good to see Paul Goldschmidt, hit the ball really well. That's a good sign moving forward. But then Darren Skelson went up 6-0. After the third, I didn't think the game was over, but I thought, okay, if Zach Greinke just continues to do what he's going to do, they're gonna, things are gonna go a lot smoother. And then that fourth inning, they were able to get 4 runs. He only lasted 3 and 2/3. Zach Greinke hasn't been that great lately, and AJ Pollock was able to save a run, but making that big dive. So they had to put Robbie Ray in, and that really affects the Diamondbacks in this upcoming series against the Dodgers because Robbie Ray was going to be game one starter, and he was the ideal starter for them. He's dominated at Dodger Stadium this year. He's been really good. And it's just unfortunate that he did not. They had to use him in that. They had to use him a couple innings. But at the same time, I think it was the right move because this is a winner go home game. So you have to use your best pitchers, and Robbie did very good. It was a 1-run game in that seventh when the Rockies were settling in. They were hitting the ball, and then Archie Bradley, had that huge 2-run triple off Pat Neshek. First relief pitcher in postseason history to hit a triple. Only the 6th pitcher overall to hit a triple in the postseason. pitcher to hit a triple in the postseason. They hit 4 triples that in last night's game. I think the first time since 1903. It's been like 100 years since that had happened. And Archie gave up 2 runs in the seventh. The Arenado home run was a crusher. And then I think the big then he gave up the Story. I was thinking, okay, he's got to settle in. Fortunately, he was able to get out of that inning with a run lead, and then Pollock had that huge 2-run triple to get some insurance added on for the Diamondbacks. Jeff Mathis had a very gutsy bunt and was able to get another run, and they went up 11-7 at that point. And when they brought Fernando Rodney in, I think, and if you're a Diamondback fan, you've been watching the Diamondbacks. A lot of his very hell, I think you could probably argue for his past several years in his career, he's very up and down. And sure enough, that's what happened with Rodney. He gave up a run. He had Arenado 2 strikes, able to get him to ground out, and they were able to win the game. Really big, Diamondbacks were able to win that game. Yeah, I expected that it was going to be like that. I just didn't expect the Diamondbacks to get off to a good head start and then the Rockies to come back. I thought it was going to be back and forth, which it ended up being. But early on, I didn't expect the Diamondbacks to go up 6-0. But it was really a great game. There was a couple things that I kind of questioned. I didn't mind Mathis catching because he's Zach Greinke's personal catcher. But I thought, Chris Lynetta didn't pinch hit, which kind of surprised me. I expected Robbie Ray to come in if Greinke struggled, but I'm surprised Zach Godley wasn't an option, because, he's had experience. He's probably had the most experience. Him and Corbin are the guys that have had the most experience in the bullpen the last couple of years, as far as from your starting pitching. And, I thought he can generate some ground balls. He could do it all, but fortunately, those decisions did not backfire for the Diamondbacks, But so they're going to be moving on to go up against the Dodgers. Before I talk about that series in the NL, those division series, I want to say hats off to the Rockies. It was a really great season for them, and they're up on the rise as well as the Twins are. So, hats off to the Colorado Rockies. As far as we got some great the ALDS kicks off today. It's going to be the Cleveland Indians against the Yankees, and then it will be the Red Sox against the Astros. I think it's going to be a couple pretty good series. I like the Indians because of the hitting power and just their experience. There's a lot of young Yankee guys on that team. So, but I'm gonna give it to the Indians. I think they're the favorites to get to the World Series in the American League, and I think they continue it. I'm going to pick the Astros. I'm going to give it Cleveland in 4. And then with the Astros and the Red Sox, I think the Astros in 4 as well. So I don't think they're going to be sweeps, but I think they're the favorites, and it's not going to go all the way to 5 games. So moving on to the NLDS, we got a couple interesting games. These are the division series that I think will go to the distance. Now, the Nationals, in my opinion, are like the Cincinnati Bengals of Major League Baseball. They get to the postseason. They can go on a run where they get in the postseason for a couple straight years, but they've not been able to win a series yet. And you think, how is that not? You have Bryce Harper, you have Max Scherzer, you have Ryan Zimmerman, Anthony Rendon, Gio Gonzalez. They were able to make some decent upgrades in the bullpen, and they're going up against a Cubs team that is, they're the defending World Series champions, but they are not the same team, but I think the series is going to go to the distance, but because of that struggle, I'm going to actually pick Chicago. I think the biggest thing for the Cubs is, even though they're not as good as they were last year, they no longer have that pressure of bringing a championship to the Cubs. That 108-year drought, the curse, whatever you want to call it, is gone. And so they don't have that pressure. They have experience. I think Brian and Rizzo can really get on a run again, and Zobrist and a couple of those other guys. So I'm going to pick the Cubs in 5. So that's going to be an interesting series. Now moving on, Diamondbacks Dodgers. Now because Robbie Ray had to pitch in this game, it's going to question who they're going to use against Clayton Kershaw. Now, the thing is, I looked at Clayton Kershaw's record. His ERA in the postseason is like 4.30 or something like that. It's not great. And Clayton Kershaw, to me, right now, he has yet to take that next step of being one of the greatest pitchers of all time, is his postseason success. He has not taken the Dodgers to a World Series, and this is a Diamondbacks team that has won 6 straight games against them and won the season series 11-8. Those last 6 games, the Diamondbacks did not play Kershaw or Alex Wood, but the Diamondbacks have confidence against them. And I like the hitting more for the Diamondbacks than I do with the Dodgers. Pitching-wise, I like the Dodgers more than the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks have, it's not saying anything against the Dodgers with their hitting. They have Turner, you have Bellinger, you have those big guys as well. But the Diamondbacks have Martinez and Goldschmidt, Lamb. I think they have a little bit more pop into their bat. I think Martinez didn't have he was the only guy that didn't get on base, or he didn't get a hit in the wild card game as far as in the starting lineup. So, but I think he's gonna have a lot of confidence knowing that last time they had a series in LA, in the first game, he hit 4 home runs. I'm not saying he's going to hit 4 home runs off Clayton Kershaw, but he's I think JD Martinez is very confident going into that Dodgers series. But I think that series will go the distance, and I think the Dodgers will just edge out the Diamondbacks in 5 games. But we could see it. We could see a flip as well. Now, I think Robbie Ray, he might be able to start Game 2 potentially. But I'm not counting on it. I think he's most likely, I think it's probably going to be Corbin or Godley, and then, whoever they don't pick between that two will start Game 2. So, that's the unfortunate thing about that wild card game. And I think, the wild card game I like because it's a Game 7 atmosphere. It's winner take all. But I think at the same time, you don't see that in baseball that much. You see it in the NFL, in the postseason. So, I personally think it might get extended to 3 games, or 3 or 5 games, like the divisional series. But, we'll see in the coming years what Major League Baseball wants to do with it. But, wild card games, very exciting. So, we had some exciting games, and I think we're headed for another great postseason as we did last season. So, moving on to NHL news. I didn't even realize with all this Major League Baseball postseason games and stuff like that, I didn't realize the NHL kicked off its season last night. And Coyotes, they played tonight against the Ducks, but, not a lot of notable games. There was a notable game. The Blues were able to beat the Penguins, and the defending Stanley Cup champion Penguins, in overtime. So that was a really big game for them. I think they led 4-2 in that game, and that game went to overtime. But it was a good win for the Blues to kick off the season. That's going to give your confidence in Pittsburgh. So one of the biggest news from the Coyotes, they kick it off against the Ducks tonight in Anaheim, but they did not name a captain, which is kind of surprising because I thought Oliver Ekman-Larsson was the front runner to get that captain spot. But it's really, I think the Coyotes are just, they're not going to find that Shane Doan guy. You're never going to replace the leadership that Shane Doan gave you. So, but it's going to take a while to figure out who the captain is, and I think with Rick Tocchet in his first year as the Coyotes coach, he's got a lot of things he's got to decide. So, we'll see what happens there. Moving on, last section of my news for the podcast. Before I talk about my predictions, I'm going to talk about and recap Week 4. A lot of injuries happened this past week. A lot of significant injuries. Derek Carr, suffered that minor spine fracture. He's going to be out 2 to 4 weeks, or 2 to 6 weeks, I think. I really hope Derek Carr does not go down path of Tony Romo, where this guy's a great quarterback, but he just has problems with staying on the field, which is what's kind of unfortunately happened the last 2 years in his career. But, we'll see how the Raiders adjust to it. They have the E.J. Manuel. He's going to have to come in. He doesn't have a lot of experience, a lot of success in postseason or in the NFL, but we'll see how they settle in. Devontae Adams suffered that very scary injury on Thursday Night Football. Had to be carted off. Really, it was a dirty hit. Trevathan was suspended 2 games. He was able to get that reduced to 1, but a good decision there by the NFL. bad luck for the Vikings. It seems like off to a decent start, but their quarterback and their running back once again got hurt at the beginning of the year, as they did last season. Dalvin Cook suffered a torn ACL, which is really unfortunate because he was looking really good to start off the year. But we'll see how they settle in. Unfortunately for the Cardinals, even though he had no sacks, Cardinals lost in that 49ers game, lost Marcus Golden for the year to a torn ACL. Really unfortunate for the Cardinals, but I think their pass rushing is still in decent shape with Chandler Jones, and maybe Hassan Reddick is able to step it up. So we'll see what happens there. Josh Norman hurt his ribs. I think he's going to be out maybe a few games. Ty Montgomery broke his ribs. I think like his one of his first few runs in that game, he suffered some broken ribs, so I don't know how long that's going to keep him out. Recapping Week 4, I went 10-6 in my predictions. Packers were able to win that game over the Bears handily against Mike Lennon, and because of that, Mitchell Trubisky will be starting that Monday Night Football game against the Vikings in Chicago, so that's going to be a good one. Saints Dolphins. Not slow start for the Saints, but they will have a really good second half. Jay Cutler, man, the Dolphins, they just did not look good. But that game was, to be honest, was bad because of it seemed like there was a flag on every other play in the first half. It was ridiculous. I mean, come on. If you want to say ratings are down, blame it on the refs. Come on, man. I don't like seeing that where they throw 1,500 flags in a game. It's ridiculous. But Bengals were able to blow out the Browns and get their first win of the year. Big win for the Bengals. The Panthers were able to upset the Patriots with the last-second field goal. And this is some concern for the Patriots, is that defense does not look good. So, Tom Brady's looked pretty well ever since that first game of the year, but that defense does not look great. And there's a lot of questions with the Patriots if they want to repeat as champions going forward. Rams, that was my upset of the week, and the Rams had a really great game against the Cowboys defensively and offensively. Todd Gurley had a big game. But Rams off to a good 3-1 start. Jared Goff is really, showing his doubters from the previous year. A lot of people viewed him as a bust, but he's off to a good start. Steelers were able to handily defeat the Ravens. Texans, Deshaun Watson, man, blew out the Titans. Marcus Mariota suffered an injury in that game, but man, Deshaun Watson, that guy's headed. He's definitely now the front runner for Rookie of the Year. But man, he looked great last year, or last week. He looked awesome. So good for him. Detroit, kind of a boring game, but Detroit was able to get, I think they won 14-7 or something like that. Were able to win that game handily. Able to bounce back from that heartbreaking loss against the Falcons. Jets were able. I did not expect the Jets to be 2-2 at this point in the year. Able to win that game in overtime. I didn't expect the Jets to have more wins than the Giants at this point. Hell, I didn't even expect the Jets to get wins before the Giants did. But incredible. Bills were able to upset the Falcons. Bills off to a decent start. That defense is looking pretty good for the Bills, and they might surprise people. And the Buffalo Bills are the only team so far in the 21st century that have not made the postseason. Think of those teams that have made the postseason. The Jaguars, the Browns, have all made the postseason, and yet the Bills haven't. Yeah, not great for them. Eagles were able to beat the Chargers. Chargers are not off to a good start in LA. Yeah, I wouldn't be. I personally think they should move back to San Diego. I think it was a dumb move, leaving San Diego anyway, because the Chargers, that LA market cannot support two football teams. To me, it just can't work. Bucks were able to beat the Giants with the last-second field goal. Giants, their season's done. It was done when they went 0-3, but they're just not great for them. Broncos were able to beat the Raiders. Broncos defense is returning to its form. And that AFC West is probably the most competitive division in football right now. Cardinals won. I don't know what to say about that game, but field goal fest. Carson Palmer just was on his back probably for most of that game. He got hit almost 20 times, sacked 6 times. That offensive line needs to fix its problems going forward. I mean, I know they don't have David Johnson, so but it was not, did not look a good game. Or in those first 4 quarters, Cardinals were able to pull it off in overtime and last minute of overtime thanks to a Larry Fitzgerald touchdown. Larry Fitzgerald bailed him out again. I don't know why Carson Palmer, they didn't throw more to Fitzgerald. I mean, he had a big game against the Cowboys. You would do the same. But they went to him in the clutch, and they have to make him the focal point of this offense. He's your best player. I know he's 34, but come on. He's 34, and he's still putting up these decent statistics. It's incredible. So, Colts Seahawks, that game was pretty competitive in the first half, and then the Seahawks just blew them out. They looked like the previous Seahawks team from the past couple years, but there's a lot of questions with the Seahawks, and going forward, just not looking great for them. And then a pretty good game between the Chiefs and the Redskins. Chiefs were able to win by 9 points. It was really a 3-point game, but they got that garbage touchdown at the end, which covered the spread, interestingly enough. But so as my predictions are right now going into the season, I'm at 40-23, off to a decent start. 17 games over 500 when it comes to predictions. 40 correct, 23 wrong. Off to a decent start with predictions for me. So going forward in the predictions this week, I'm going to go Bucks over the Patriots. I mean, just that defense and the fact that it's at home for the Buccaneers. I'm going to take the Bucks. Niners, Colts. You know, Jacoby Brissett looked decent in the first half, and I'm going to give him the edge. Bills, Bengals, that defense looks very good. I know it's at home for Cincinnati, but I'm going to go with the Bills. Panthers, Lions, this is going to be probably one of the best games of the week, and I'm going to pick Detroit at home. Chargers and Giants, both teams looking for their first win. I'm going to actually pick the Chargers. Titans, Dolphins, this is kind of a question mark, but you know what? I'm going to probably pick the Titans just because Jay Cutler has not looked great. Jets, Browns, I'm going to take the Jets. Jaguars, Steelers, I'm going to take the Steelers at home. Ravens, Raiders, since Derek Carr is out of this game, I'm going to take the Ravens. Seahawks, Rams. Every time the Rams play the Seahawks, they're able to get at least one win each season. And considering the Rams are off to a good start, I have to pick LA. Packers, Cowboys, this is probably going to be another great game, but got to go with Aaron Rodgers. You know, Cowboys have kind of looked up and down so far to kick off the year. Chiefs, Texans, it's going to be another great game, but you know what? Chiefs are now the only team remaining that's undefeated, and I'm going to go with them. Cardinals, Eagles, that's a pretty good game, but I'm going to probably go with the Eagles at home. And then Vikings, Bears, I'm going to take the Vikings. I don't know how Mitchell Trubisky's going, but considering he's a rookie, I'm going to take Case Keenum in that offense. They did beat the Bucks, so I think they can do it. They're all right. So that's it for my podcast this week. This has probably been one of my most longest podcasts. If you haven't seen my recent sports blog episode, I did the wild card and my regular season recap in that video, so check that out. Follow me on Twitter at BaileyLeasure96. If you like the video, click like. If you like the content of my channel, please subscribe. And comment your views of what happened. What do you think of those big wildcard games? What do you think of my predictions and my recaps? Who do you think is going to win this season? So leave the comments in the comment section below. Thanks everyone for watching, and I will see you all later.